I thought I was going to go into the school and everybody else there was going to know more than me. And, you know, as a kid, I was kind of a scrapper. And by the time I showed up in that Kung Fu school, I had a gun shoved in my face. I'd been stabbed. I'd been attacked by multiple opponents more than once in my life. And so I kind of learned how to scrap, but I really had this idea that everybody in that school would know more than me. And I was scared to death.
Yeah.
I was absolutely terrified. And I walked to the school while I was stationed in Korea in the military. And I stood in front of this door and I was terrified. But I got to this point where I realized the pain of being afraid the rest of my life was far greater than any pain I could possibly experience on the other side of that door. And so I chose to walk through that door and into the unknown and just step forward and try to bravely meet this adversity that I'd been dealing with my whole life of being afraid. So I walked in that school looking for strength. And over the years, I discovered it. I discovered that I did have strength and plenty of it. And so it became, luckily for me, something that I could lean on when I was confronted with this other challenge of having my son in a hit and run collision with two semi trucks when he was 3.5 years old, and him laying in a coma in an ICU and not knowing whether or not he was going to live.
Yeah.
And the doctors, you could just see it in their eyes. They weren't going to say anything. They couldn't. They didn't know.
Right.
It was completely uncertain, and I was scared to death. I mean, I was terrified. I remember laying in a chair next to his bed that first night, and going to sleep holding his hand.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid. I thought that if I held his hand, I could hold on to him and keep him here with me on this earth. He was that close to death. I thought he would slip away. That, in a silly way, that if I held his hand, I could keep him here and get him through the night. But that's how scared I was. But my martial arts had taught me lots of things, and it taught me to persevere, taught me that you don't always know how things are going to work out, that sometimes I need to remember in the dark what I'd learned to be true in the light, and that I had to have faith, and I was going to have to keep showing up and working through the pain, working through the difficulty, hoping for the best, and kind of maintaining this purpose of just being there for my boy from that point on in a way that, really challenged me mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in every way possible.